All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome to our third, I think, face-to-face that we've had here. So, again, this is the members' time to ask any questions of myself. We have support of the board here as well. I've also brought in Paul Scoff over in the corner there. He's our new public safety manager, leading up the public safety department with Steve DeArmond. And so don't forget to get your coffee and cookies for breakfast in the back corner. Compliments of Olympics in Dorp. They continue to sponsor our face-to-face meetings. And just some housekeeping. We have circulating here. It's supposed to be on a loop, so if you see me go around every now and then to hit the button, it's the loop's not working, but you'll see drawings and renderings of the phase schedule that is on, that will be on the ballot next voting. And then you'll also see some Spectrum internet and TV updates and as well on. We'll also have those handouts at public safety and member service starting. Some of those handouts are already there. You can pick them up. Spread the word if you need to hand them to your neighbors or co-members here. And it's informational package. Hopefully it'll answer some of your guys' questions and help you make an informed decision when you come to vote. So another item, got some feedback from the last couple of ones. They were attended, but lightly attended. We got a good group today. So one of the things that came to mind was the last one. I spent most of the time talking over the agenda from the prior board meeting. So this is not a board meeting. Take two. This is your guys' time to start asking any questions. So we'll throw it out to the floor, and anybody have any questions on any of the resolutions, concerns, positive comments throughout the park? This is your guys' time. So we'll open it up. If you need to, there is a microphone over there on the chair. You can push the dot. When it turns green, it's on. If not, I think we got a small enough crowd here where people, I know we'll definitely hear Joel. So what's on your mind?
Where's that new pool going to go?
This new pool is going to go, excellent question. This new pool is going to go in phase 2. Where there's shuffleboard, and pickleball courts overlooking the lake. You have the playground area back there with the disc golf. If you see the circulating drawing, it's going to overlay a little bit into that playground area. Playground area can be relocated either in that same area, or we've got a couple of alternative spots that we could relocate that playground area. But we want to try to make it a pool, shuffleboard, pickleball, playground area, all in one area. So, yes, Joel.
And I think this is important. I'd like to clarify this for the vote. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The vote that's on the ballot is not whether to approve or disapprove the pool itself. It is, in fact, to transfer the funds from operational to capital to finish paying for it all, right? There is no assessment that's attached to that, right? And there are doesn't seem to be any strings attached to that either.
No.
Right, so I think that's an important fact to have the conversation with people out there so they fully understand that. Going down that same path, right? Some of the other proposals that are out there, I think are in need of conversation as well, such as the south side building, where there is an assessment attached to that, right? It's a very large building. It's going to take up a lot of green space. All those type of conversations we had as well. And then finally, the last one that I'm thinking of is the verbiage change for and this is where it gets muddy, right? Because not everyone quite understands everything that was said in that meeting a month ago, right? What I understand it is the bottom line is it's giving more authority to the board to spend the funds,
No,
right?
Opposite.
And that.
It's a
I want-
perception.
That's my.
yeah, okay, the perception that some people have about the language of the bylaws is incorrect, and that verbiage change is to clarify that. The way it reads now, there's a section prior to this section. The section that we're changing is actually having to do with the purchase of personal property, and somebody in their infinite wisdom years ago stuck this, sentence in there. And people try to put it back on all capital expenses. There's a section all by itself about capital expenses. Some of that was changed when we did the capital reserve. And what that says is that from a list of approved projects that the board approves during the budgeting process, the capital budget, those are the projects that we use capital funds for. Outside of like an emergency or something. Now, if we have a project that is going to require us to dip into the cap or into the operational budget, then if it's more than 2.5% of the capital or the operational budget that we want to move, we have to have a vote unless there's a few exceptions.
Yep.
Okay, so once you move money into capital, you cannot move it back. So we like to keep, the funding needs to stay in operations so we can use it for operations, our rainy day fund, all those things. So if we have a project that's capital and we don't have enough for all the capital projects and we need to dip into operations, the board always has to vote to move that money. But if it's more than 2.5% and it doesn't meet these qualifications down here, then it should go to a vote, which is why this building is going to a vote. Now, the language, all we're doing is clarifying that language, and we're hoping it's clear. I understand it's all in legalese. It's not giving us any more authority at all. That's the way we've been operating for years.
And
So-
it's the problem. And I don't understand it.
Okay, I get
don't
that.
understand it.
A lot of
That
people,
scares me, and that
Right.
makes me.
but you didn't understand it before if you thought that that meant anything that was more than 2.5% of an equivalent is how people were perceiving it. They were thinking it was an equivalent. It's not. That's not what it says. So you're talking, if we need
So
to,
you already lost. What do you mean?
okay, what it says is if we need to spend 2.5%, more than 2.5% of the operational budget on a capital item,
Yep.
we have to get a vote. It doesn't say if we have a project that is equivalent to 2.5% or more of the operational budget, we have to vote on it. That's what some people think it says. It does not say that. It never has.
Just if you need the additional.
If we need additional funds and we want to move,
The
money.
verbiage change, is that 2.5% that stays?
yes,
2.5%?
we didn't change the amount.
Right, we didn't change the amount. So back to Ellen's point, if you use the existing language or you use the new recommended language, we would still be in the same situation that you just explained for the pool. All right, so the pool was on the original capital reserve fund. It started out as $100,000 project.
Right.
It started to get quotes and then all of a sudden it went to, holy cow, it's a $500,000 project. So then the pool became a $500,000 project on the capital reserve fund. That was in 2018, 2019. You fast forward to 2022, and actually when you talk to construction companies, you're looking at 2023, 2024 before you can get that pool done. $500,000 in 2018, 2019 is not $500,000 in 2022, 2023, 2024. So as a board, you look at that 2.5%, and if you do 2.5% of the current operational budget, which is roughly $7 million, it's $175 roughly $1,000 that the board could vote on and say, we're going to transfer it. $175,000 plus another $500,000 is $675,000. I'm sure I carry the one and do the math correctly. And you're still not there.
Right.
So whether you do the new bylaw change or the existing one, it would still have to go to a member vote to say, I need to transfer the money. Are you guys in approval of that or not? And back to Joel's point, it's really a zero cost. It's not an assessment. Your dues aren't going up. We have the funds in the operational budget now. We went through the finances last night. We're still financially strong. We still have a really good rainy day fund, but it would be transferring it out of operations. The money is there. You guys need to approve it. Old language, new language, that would still go through that. What the new language states, back to Ellen's point, it tries to clear up some of that confusion. What can the board do? Here's the examples that the board can do. What do the members have to do? Here's the examples of what the members have to do. And then what is in the authority of no member vote? You can just go do it. Those are the three items that we tried to split out to clear up some of that confusing language that Ellen has
So
stated.
you said, you mentioned a list of approved capital projects,
Mhm.
right? So, I remember, back when Gene was, we were getting this, capital reserve going and stuff, we had that list. Is that list a living list, or was it made back in 2000, whatever, and it just is what it is?
It's living.
It's a living list.
We vote on it every year.
So who votes on it every?
The board.
The board.
The board votes on it every year to determine what is and is not a capital project. And what are those qualifications?
So the qualifications to be whether it's a capital project or not are IRS qualifications, right? So if you're,
Say that one more time.
it's an IRS qualification. So if it's a capital, the short version of this,
Like no property?
it is if you're adding an asset to the park, if you're adding a building to the park, if you're adding, a South Shore building, a CC, a pool, if you're gonna add a new road, the IRS has strict, here's what is a capital item, here's what an expense is. Now, an expense would be like if the team needs new computers, right? People think that's capital, because it's an asset. This is an asset of Sandy Pines. But it's an expense because it's $2,500 or less, you do an expense. Anything above 2,501 and you're adding an asset to the park is considered capital.
And we aren't voting to determine what's capital. What we're voting on are expected capital expenses. We're trying to look ahead and, over a period of time, the long-term planning committee looks at a lot of those things and makes recommendations. And it's in the future, we'd like to do this, replace the tennis court surfaces, things like that. So we vote on the items on that list, but we're not making the determination that they're capital because that is, as Jeff said, that's a tax definition. And Kimberly and our CPA look at that to make sure we're on track of what's capital and what's not.
And I want to clarify when you say it's a living list, right? So that the baseline of that list, starting point, is what was approved by this membership in 2017, 2018. That's what those items are added, and not added, but they were added back then for you guys to vote on. And that's the starting point of every budgetary conversation that we have. What did the members approve? What's on that list? And where are we at today? When we say it's a living list, we have to pick and choose based on, again, if you do the math, there's two things that the members provide. $200 for capital, $200 for capital reserve. Those all go to capital upkeep of the park, right? So if you do 400 times 2,162 members, you have roughly $850,000 a year. And then the list is what can we do this year? What can we do this next year? What can we do 3 years out? So the projects, the only time we add a project, in full transparency, one project that we may have to add is The dam is 50 years old. We continue to go through evaluations. There's an A, B, C, D grading of our dam that Steve DeArmond and the county and the state go through. Our dam is 50 years old. It's at a B rating, still very, very solid, very good, even though it's 50 years old. But they've brought in, so, hey, here's some things you may need to think about in the coming years. If we have to add that to the list, then that's where we would say, all right, this capital reserve fund is 5-6 years into it. Can we put this in year 7 and then bring this back, or do we extend it? Do we, bring it out to, do we raise it to $300? But the living list is the projects that are on there. And we have to determine based on the money that we have in the pool, can we do this in 2022? Or do we move it to 2024?
And sometimes it depends on repair items that we may have to do. If we have to do a lot of repairs, we may have to put something off a year.
Completely understand that. So in the event you have a capital project, you're asking for an assessment, the bottom line means we don't have the funds, Sandy Pines doesn't have the funds and capital to pay for that, such as that south side building.
Right,
That
exactly.
we're looking for assessment. So Sandy Pines doesn't actually have enough money to pay.
We don't want to spend so much that we can't do repairs.
Right.
We like to keep,
Right.
that's why it's the reserve. And then we have our operating reserve that we don't really want to touch either. So we wouldn't want to just move money from operations to try to pay for that, especially when we want to do that for the pool. We have to maintain our 6-month operating fund.
But based on the logic we just talked about, maybe moving a capital project, why wouldn't we move that out until we had the funds for it?
Because we're in a process for a grant from FEMA and we don't have that luxury.
It's
They're
gas
looking at it
prices.
now, and if we don't do it now, it may not happen. It's a little different when you're going to an outside entity that is going to pay for 75% of the structure cost, the hardening cost.
Does it have to be a 17,000 square foot building?
It is that's what we've proposed. We have made some reductions and some changes to make it a little less expensive. But one way or another, that building is going to have to be dealt with. And we could spend $500,000 for a new roof. We could do foundation work. We could spend $1 million on that building.
Yep.
And not have any improvements. And it would be just what it is today.
I understand.
That's how I look at it.
So there's 2 driving factors with that South Shore discussion, right? One of them is what Ellen said, that pavilion is on the list for $300,000. Do you want to spend $300,000? That roof has to completely go off and be redesigned. You get quotes on that, it's over $300,000 now. And then you add electrical and HVAC into that, it gets close to probably $600,000. So almost double what the membership already proved on. So one is cost, and it's not being used. This year and last year, the rental of that pavilion and the use of that pavilion has gone down based on this. The other key driving factor of that is, back to Joel, your question as to, does it have to be that large? We have members in phase 1 and phase 2 now, because this building has been utilized for phases 4 and 5 and 6. Tornado take covers, storm events, cooling shelters when we've lost, power during the summer. Phase 1 and 2 are saying, hey, where do I go? Do I have to drive all the way over to the North Shore in a golf cart, carrying my dog and my cat in order to, be safe and to take cover? So the size of that building is to accommodate phase 1 and 2 members for safety. And the footprint that we have in phase 1 and 2 to try and pop up additional smaller ones for shelters just isn't there. You can redo some of the existing CCs, but I want to say the number of individuals that you could get into that building was over 200,000. So almost twice as much as this building. We could-
2,000.
Or I was 200.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say city of Grand Rapids.
I'm on my first.
They just grew.
It's over 2,000, if I remember correctly. So cost, do we want to be responsible with our money and spend it on a building that nobody's utilizing and it's not real robust? Or do we want to spend the money, again, to have the government pay for the majority of that building, make it a larger building to keep phase 1 and 2 individuals safe? It's just, what do we want to do with our money and what's the smart thing for Sandy Pines?
Plus the usability is different.
And yes, and to Kelly's point, the flexibility or the use of that building will be completely different. Now I'll get you in a second, Diane. We are waiting on the official renderings. As Ellen stated, we kind of rolled out a first set of renderings of that building. Basketball court indoor, pickleball, shuffleboard indoor. The other thing that we need to think about is the ice cream store. The ice cream store, that's our building that Jim Warner, the ice cream guy, has. We're responsible for that. That building is, I think the workers, when this was an onion field, that's where they were housed. So that's how old that building is. And it needs to be completely redone as well. So the ice cream store would be collapsed into that. We did have a pool off to the side. We took that pool out based on feedback from the pool committee. We want to focus in on the phase 2 pool. So updated renderings are supposed to be out as soon as possible next week. We're still waiting for some of those corrections. So, Diane, your question.
When it comes to a FEMA grant, you talk about 75%. So, but if you got let's say your proposal doesn't pass, but you do get a FEMA grant, can you use your FEMA grant money? Say they give you $1 million. Can you use your FEMA grant money to build $1 million storm shelter someplace?
No, and here's why, because that FEMA grant is specific based on, Steve and the team had to go through, here's the design of the building, here's what it's gonna look like. So if we get approval of that, the funds are specific to what we've submitted, and what we submitted was that building there. So in the eyes of the state or the federal government, because now they've moved it out of state, and put it into regional, they're gonna say, hey, well, wait a minute, here's what you proposed to get X amount of dollars. And then here's what you built. It was kind of a switcheroo.
And it always has to be that they're paying 75% of the hardened costs. And hardened cost means the structure of the building that makes it a storm shelter. The other things, the finishes, the extra stuff, we pay 100% of that, but we pay 25% of the hardening. So if we got $1 million grant from them, we would still have to spend $250,000. It's not like we could just take their money and spend it. We can't do that. It's based, like Jeff said, it's based on the proposal.
And they don't give you the money up front.
Right.
No.
We fund it and then they repay us when they see that we've built in compliance.
So that's what I just wanted to clarify is the fact that if we were proposing just a tornado shelter building, that we still wouldn't be able to build it without us spending 25% of it.
Right. Exactly.
Correct.
That's my understanding. Again, Steve's gonna be the expert on that. He does all of our FEMA grants, but if they approve and say, hey, based on your design, based on your proposal, you're approved. Back to Ellen's point, we have to go build what we said we were gonna build before they give us the money. Yes.
So how did it come about that we need a 17,000 square foot building on a beautiful beach that you said will start at the tennis courts and go past that pavilion that's there now?
No, we did so thank you, because we talked about that at the last face-to-face. We brought out the engineers and we actually measured that area out there. It wouldn't butt up directly to the tennis courts, but it would be in that close vicinity, almost take where the sand is for that volleyball court area, the outdoor volleyball court, the sand closest to the tennis court, and then you run it about 160, 170 feet. It will not overtake the outdoor picnic pavilion. And the other thing that the engineers were talking about is not to infringe on that space, you could almost turn it and rotate it, and it'll fit into that footprint. Now, you
Where
will.
there's already a building.
Yes, you will lose some of that green space in between the dairy dip and the current pavilion, but it will fit in between the picnic shelter that's there now. And we would lose the volleyball court. One of the things that we talked about was the dairy dip would have to go down, put 2 volleyball courts, outdoor volleyball courts on that hill overlooking the beach, and then they could play up there. Because there is, what I've seen on the holidays and some busy weekends, there are people waiting to play volleyball. So add another one in that area.
So this is gonna be a one-story facility?
It'll be a 1-story facility, yes.
Should you put up the rendering that you showed at the last board meeting so people at least have an idea? I don't know how somebody came up with the idea was, oh, we need an indoor basketball court with 24-foot high ceilings. I don't know how much of this membership thinks we need an indoor basketball court and indoor pickleball courts. And you haven't shown it to anybody. Nobody other than us people that were at the main meeting have a clue what's going to be in that building.
So,
You still can't show us.
well, again, as we talked last night, I can show that, but here's what's gonna happen. When I show that, we're gonna get a bunch of questions. Why is there a pool on there? Why is this on there? Where is that on there? So then the discussion moves from pickleball courts and basketball courts to where's the pool at? And then you're gonna have people say, I really like the pool idea. Why did you take it off? So as I stated last night to you after the board meeting, we're gonna not circulate that until those renderings are complete, because that is the finalized rendering and proposal that we're gonna put to the membership.
And we talked about that. If you remember years ago when we talked about putting a pool in and we had the administrative building and part of that, let's say it was a dream print, had a hotel hooked to it. Well, even though that was never in the plans, pretty soon, everybody in the park thought, well, why do we need a hotel?
Right.
And they would look at other things. Well, why do we need that? So we said, you know what? Let's not confuse people anymore. Let's put up the exact thing that we want to do so everybody has an exact view and nothing else clouding that.
But we're 6 weeks from a vote and you can't show us a building.
It will be coming out this next week. And
And I'm not going to see it. What are you going to?
it's going to be on the official website. It's going to be available. There's handouts about the pool. There'll be handouts about this too. It will be available and we'll make it widely available, but people need to avail themselves of official sources of communication from the park, official website, official social media. These private Facebook groups are not where you want to go for your information because those are people's opinions.
You wouldn't share with us what's.
We will when we have it. If we give you something that's not accurate, then you're misled.
But you're 6 weeks out and you're.
We understand that the official communication is gonna go out when the renderings are available, and they're gonna be dispersed as exactly how the other ones are. You'll be able to pick them up at member service. You'll be able to pick them up off our website. You'll be able to pick them up out of public safety office and board meetings and face-to-faces. I apologize that they're not ready yet, but back to my original comment, we will not circulate something that is inaccurate right now.
Then why don't you just make a list of what's going to be in this building? Like I said, to me, a 24-foot ceiling to accommodate indoor basketball.
Yep.
To me, who wants that?
We'll find out in the vote.
We'll find out in the vote. There are people there. Well, you will see it. All right. Next question. Yes, Joel.
I think it's important to discuss why it seems like a little bit of a short notice on that,
Mhm.
right? So
Short notice as far as,
in this year, right? We're talking about, we're 6 weeks away from a vote.
Mhm.
Why is it on the ballot this year, right? So I think that is important to discuss why it
I
seems
think-
like it's a little bit short.
I think we've already talked about that.
Me and you have.
Well, no, I think we as a membership have, I've stated it in my footprints, I've stated it in, board meetings. The reason why is, again, we started this process in January with FEMA, right? And we're not calling anybody out, but the feedback when I first started, when this construction of this building started, I had a bunch of members coming through here and say, hey, why are we building this? We felt it got slid in the dark at night. We don't want to do that with this building out here.
Right.
And so when the government comes and says, hey, there are funds that are available, are you interested in taking another opportunity? Do you have any opportunities to build another building? That process started in December with Steve and Salem Township. The official submission got submitted in January, and it's going to take about a year for that whole process before we find out whether we got the funds or not. So if you do the timeline, we're in the off season again, members are gone, and all of a sudden a communication goes out, hey, we got another FEMA building. People are going to be, well, what the heck? So I'll acquiesce to, it's a short timeline for a vote, but it's a short timeline for a vote based on the timeline that we have in our bylaws to say, can the members approve this or not?
Right, we want to vote ahead of actually going forward with an approval.
And we have certain support at the county, state levels right
Township,
now.
township.
That may not be there in a year.
Right, elections are coming up.
Correct.
Elections are coming up and the people in the township and the county and the state that support us now may not run again, may not win. You know, what we're doing is actually we're giving a lot of lead time. And as Kelly said, you know, when they had the pool vote a few years ago, the renderings that were up were just a general idea. We didn't actually have good cost estimates. The pictures were just, you know, like you said, pipe dreams. They were concepts. They weren't even like what we have here that are actual renderings. And that went to a vote. People didn't like that. So we're trying to do better and give more advance notice. And maybe 6 weeks isn't a lot of time to see that specifics. But when you voted before on a pool, it was a concept. That could have been a pool in California, that picture. We're trying to give you the actual renderings and details before the vote, before we take another step with FEMA to try to get an approval. We're trying to stay ahead of it.
Larry, question?
Just to make a direction, it's 8 weeks from the day that we vote.
Okay,
Not
Okay.
6, 8
okay,
weeks.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes, right.
Just a question, Becky, and I messed up in the building that we're gonna build, which I think is a great idea. We, had concerts out next to that pavilion with that lawn.
Mhm.
Will that still be there, or are we gonna lose the concert area?
We'll probably lose some of that concert area, yes. But again, what we had talked about was when we eliminate the current structure of the dairy dip and that little side building up there, you could gain some area for concerts up there.
Yeah, because
TBD, right?
that area seems to be a lot nicer for concerts
Right.
than when we go over by the.
Agreed.
flea market.
Yeah.
Understand.
The Pancake Pavilion doesn't seem to
No.
accommodate it. We could look at that when we, you know, when we regain that area and, you know, try to utilize that space up in there to the best. Yeah.
And
A lot of.
You know, on a hilltop like that, you may be able to set up there and people could, you know, utilize that enclosed pavilion to sit in and, you know, you could have the music up on the top.
Put the music at the bottom
Mhm.
and.
Sit up.
Here,
sit up there. Yeah.
right,
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep.
then you can, everybody can see.
Yeah, okay. That excellent idea, excellent.
A
idea.
couple,
Go ahead.
couple things I wanted to add, when we were talking about capital. We didn't mention the fact that that includes equipment and vehicles. So that's another thing that, you know, every once in a while, you need to replace a vehicle. Every once in a while, you need to replace equipment. So that's also on that capital budget. And another thing that a lot of people don't know, and I never knew this until I was in the finance section here. That $200 reserve money and the other $200 capital money that is part of our dues right now. We are not taxed on that money because we are a not-for-profit. That's capital money that never comes into operations. It goes directly into capital. We are not taxed on that as an entity. So, but if we have operating money that we move over, that was in operation, so that is taxed. So, I don't
No,
know.
that's a great point, because that's one of the things I learned coming from corporate world is we want to get as much revenue in because we've got things we want to do here. If it's an assessment and it's specifically a capital assessment, as that money comes in for not-for-profit, we don't get taxed. If we don't have that assessment, capital assessment, and we have a bunch of profit revenues coming in, we get taxed on the profit and the revenues versus not being taxed on the assessment. So
That new building, if we do, that would be a capital assessment, that additional money for over 4 years?
4 years.
That we put the wording in there that would be capital assessment money. So we would not be taxed on that as a corporation.
Ms. Suppin, what is the cost per member for that building?
Over the life of the assessment, I want to say it was $231 roughly. So over the life of the 4-year assessment, it was about $925 per member. And one of the things that we took a look at, whether you like it or not, some members are receptive to the indoor pickleball, basketball, things of that nature. We tried to bump that up against, all right, so what's a YMCA annual membership cost, or an MVP, or some of these, right? So MVP, $1,900 a month, $1,900 a year. And YMCA is about $1,400 a year. So, you know, we're definitely below that, and we got a better view, and it's a more robust area. So
Per year, again, how much is that?
it would be
231.
roughly $231, if I remember correctly,
For 4 years.
for 4 years.
Over,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Deb, did you have a question about?
Well, the one thing that I just wanted to clarify, I think, if I understand correctly, is primarily the South Shore building we're looking at is a FEMA building.
Correct.
And the basketball court, the pickleball court, the shuffleboard, the kids' activities that we're talking about doing in there, that's just kind of a bonus so that we can make the best use of that building when we're not using it as a storage shelter.
Correct.
Correct.
That is an excellent clarification. It's a storm shelter first. That's how we get the money from the government. And then in order to utilize that, again, one of the things that I received feedback from this building is it is packed, it is getting utilized for card games and potlucks, and we've had one wedding here. We got another wedding next season coming up. So this is getting utilized, but what about activities? This was, from what I understand, you know, prior to this, you know, an activities area, an activities event building. The activities kind of got lost when you started to think about, all right, well, let's put the tabletop shuffleboard in here and poker tables over here. When FEMA walks through and say, nope, you can't do that because that thing is not collapsible like these tables. These chairs are stackable. You get them out of the way, you pack people in here. Those kind of things we kind of lost. So how do we kind of accommodate activities without filling it up with a bunch of shuffleboard tables and things like that? That's where the ideas came up with. Well, indoor golf simulator. We'll try and add that to the list, Bill.
We should definitely add.
But I mean, what do we do in the park? And you can do it during the off season, or you can do it during bad weather, is basketball, pickleball, shuffleboard. There's gonna be posts in there where you can do indoor volleyball as well. We've had high schools come out here for volleyball and asked to use our outdoor, we could have high schools come during the off season and utilize an indoor event now as well. So it's a little more robust. It's trying to make the best of both worlds. It is a FEMA safety shelter first. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I can already hear my scuttlebutt. We have verbiage in the new building, because if the dairy dip's going away, everybody's gonna hear that. Where's it gonna go?
In that building.
It's going in the building.
In that building,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That wasn't clear.
Yeah.
We go in the building.
It's in the building.
It's not leaving. It's just being relocated. It's going to be relocated, not, yeah.
Your ice cream trips are safe.
Ice cream is a priority to us. Ice cream will be relocated into a nicer area.
Larry, quick question.
In response to your question, it has to be pointed out that the dairy dip moved to this FEMA building is different monies. There's already monies for the dairy dip.
Correct.
And so that is not in the cost of the FEMA building.
Right.
Correct. That has to be 100% paid by Sandy Pines. And I've also heard some of the scuttlebutt, and just again, being very transparent, that, hey, it's not really 25% that we pay, it's more than 25%. When you take a look at the grant money, back to Ellen's point, the grant money, 75% of the hardening costs specific to this building, proposed building, specific to the proposed building in the area that will save lives, not dairy dip. That is 75%. We only pay 25%. When you read the resolution, there's ancillary costs. We want to put the dairy dip in there. That's out of our pocket. One of the other things that you'll see on the rendering is how many people have tried to cross that road to get to the dairy dip, parking on the other side on Christmas and August, the 4th of July, with cars zooming around that corner, right? That's a hazard, right? So one of the things that we're also proposing, but this would come out of our pocket, and it is in the capital reserve fund for improving our roads, is now take the opportunity of moving that parking lot closer to the building where kids and families don't have to cross that road. And then we would move that parking lot and kind of reroute that road where roads on one side, parking lot, buildings on the other, so you don't.
So you don't have to cross for the beach or the ice cream, all the parking, there'd be lots of parking for ice cream.
That could be even something you could do, even if your proposal doesn't pass.
We have, absolutely, we have that on the list. So we've talked about that, I want to say, for the last year or so. If the proposal passes, that it's a perfect time to do that construction. If it doesn't, absolutely, that's still on our thought process, because that is a hazard.
Because ice cream is an important issue.
Right.
The
Yeah.
shelter part, we've been too far away from this. And so when the alarm goes off or whatever, it's definitely a concern to get over here in time to be safe, so you might as well stay home.
Right.
So to us, that's important. The other thing is that when this building was proposed, people were all a little up in arms about it. Now that it's built, people say, this is a beautiful building. We're so glad we have it. Beautiful facility. And now, as far as I know, people really like it. And I would think the same thing would happen over there.
Agreed. Thank you. Let me get this guy in the back and I'll get you. Yes, sir.
I've been messing around with all our new portals and web access. I'm struggling through some stuff for the past couple of weeks.
Mhm.
One thing I did notice with the new Symmetry system is that all members and anybody that's been signed in, all their personal information is on that website for anybody to view.
I'm not aware of that. Is it- Can you, after class, can you kind of show me, please?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not.
Both of yours, that one's on.
I've seen when I go to do and I didn't really
A
look
repeat.
into it further. I did see, I know what you're talking about. When I went to make a guest pass, other names were popping up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, please share that information. Yeah. Yeah, bill them all to me, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I still can't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It just spit.
Yeah. I mean that, I am not aware of that.
It's nothing
because
personal, Joe.
our-
I think it is.
Huh?
That's part of the issue with all these systems is nobody knows how to use them. It seems like we didn't use a lot of time to research this and set stuff up, and there's a lot of shortcomings on it, so.
And on that same note, the golf course tee times,
Mhm.
right? they've dropped off of the portal, right? Golf course's website is horrendous. And if you ever try to make a tee time, it doesn't actually create your tee time. It'll show up and you don't have a tee
Okay.
time, right? So that.
It's nothing, it's nothing personal, Joel.
It's just Joel's.
It's just
It's just yours.
user, what do they say about user error?
You know, I think, because before the old system, I mean, it was right on our member access. And you click on it and
Okay.
bam, you're there.
So we're not fully done with some of the systems. One thing that the golf course is connected to is our point of sale system. So if you go to the Park and Garden, you go to member service to pay your bill, you go to public safety to get a bundle of firewood. Our point of sale system, our POS, is called Club Profit. We were planning on making that change this year as well, but back to the gentleman's comment in the back, we have hit so many different road bumps on the current system that we peeled back off of that and said, we need to fix these and get these right. The point of sale system is going to be reviewed this fall, and we're going to move from Club Profit to another point of sale. And that will have golf course tee times and things available that you should have access to through your web access. So it's TBD, but if I'm hearing mixed, it could be just Joel operator error, but but we are moving to a new
Some
point of
people
sale.
with
system.
different, I don't know what browser you use, but some people are having issues.
Well, even the
Depending on the
office tells you it's better to call them because
It is.
they've had a lot of problems with other people
Okay.
doing it too. Again, we could all be doing it wrong.
Right.
You're the one.
Well,
Right.
we're all in a learning curve this year, so it's,
You could run the town meetings.
yeah, there you go.
Right? Yes, sir.
Just something I wanted to point out, right? Handed out some of those flyers last night.
Yes.
About the internet,
Yes.
TV. And some people are like, oh, this is crazy. It's 2,187 annually. And that's highlighted yellow. That's what people see.
Mhm.
And they're not seeing the area up at top, what's we were paying
What are actual costs?
and our actual cost is. They're seeing that yellow thing that stands out. And they're like, I'm not, no way.
Okay.
Okay, no, good feedback. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that, what that gentleman is referring to is if you are currently using the modems and the cable TV, you're paying $328 annually. The proposal for new spectrum modems and upgrades in the park is $426 annually. The box down below is what we have for $35.50 a month over 12 months is $426. A residential package, which is the same thing that they would sell in a residential area, is $179 a month. Times 12 months is over the $2,000 mark. So that's good feedback. We'll try and flip those and make that a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
We did that when we walked in. So that was the main thing.
Oh, that got your eye more than the important stuff. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, we appreciate when somebody
Yeah.
points that out so we can make it clear.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Is that also the condos rate, the 426?
Yes. So again, right now, the bundle is all Sandy Pines members. So the 2,162 memberships include the condos. Now, how many are from the condos here? Other than Kelly, we'll try, the condos, you have an option, and that option is the $179.99 a month, if this fails. The park doesn't have an option. So it's a bundled package with the park and the condos to get that $35.50 a month. So,
And it's all or nothing. If we don't vote this through, we have no cable and internet.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm thinking. Now, at this day and age, to not have any TV or internet, I mean, that's gonna be tremendous load to the value of your property even.
Right,
Mhm.
agreed.
My daughter too all day.
Yeah.
Just tell.
Go over to the new building and use the basketball court or.
Simulated golf.
Yes,
I could maybe actually learn how to play.
We go out in phase 3 and we see the disc golf back there. It's like completely overgrown.
okay.
We talked to about bringing it low.
Just.
Yeah.
That would be a call into maintenance.
The nature
But I would,
trails.
I'll
They
make
play
a note
disc
as
golf
well.
back
So if you
there.
guys
It's
want to
pretty.
call and just kind of ask when that's scheduled, and I'll make a note as well.
There, the mosquitoes tried to carry me away.
I want that because it's pretty cool. If you walk all the way around and you come out, there's a bench that's directly across from the lake from my lot. So I've done that a few times, but yeah, I put a mosquito in.
Yeah.
And it does get really overgrown.
All right, we're going to do a time check here. We have about 8 minutes, and I do have some writing questions that I would like to get to you as well. So writing question from site
You gotta put them on the spot.
N333. Are campers given a set of rules when they come into Sandy Pines? Is there a limit of dogs they can bring? Do they know that they have to have them on a leash? Is it possible to have a PSO on a bike instead of a car? I see them go by and then right after them, there are 6 kids on a golf cart bouncing up and down and speeding down our street, and it's not ending. Paul, you want to answer that for public safety?
There we go.
Perfect segue.
Thanks for coming, Paul. Yeah, yes, when campers come into the park, they're given a folder with all the rules of the park and what rules pertain to the campers. The rules for the dogs are also listed in there. I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to ride a bike around here. Nobody wants to see you riding a bike around here. We do utilize, we do have a golf cart that we do use, so we're not just in vehicles.
Yep, I've seen it.
I know we've had some of our PSOs out doing foot patrols in areas. To be honest, we don't have bikes to use right now.
Right.
Certainly not something I'm opposed to looking at.
I've often wondered
Could use
why
those
the,
rental bikes.
especially for the price of gas these days.
But if there was an emergency, they couldn't go fast enough
Yeah.
either.
Why could.
Well,
Some of these golf carts, I mean, not my golf cart, golf carts that you could purchase. And they're not gonna leave the park anyway. They don't.
a couple of things on that, and Paul can correct me if I'm wrong. That's his area of expertise, but when you see Paul's truck or you see the golf carts that are the Jeeps that are driving around here, they are packed with life-saving equipment, AEDs, I don't want to say tackle box, but a big box for medical saving stuff. Put that on a golf cart is not real conducive of, if you have to go to an emergency. Again, they do a ton of medicals. We had an incident in phase 6 last year, down at the boat launch there in the marina. A golf cart, if that call is at the public safety, let's just think about routing. If that call is at public safety, that there's an emergency at the marina, they're not driving through the park. They're going immediately out on a public road to get as fast as they can to the area where that issue is taking place. So
I don't think it would be in lieu of, but in
Addition.
addition to.
I don't disagree. So what we do have, back to Paul's point, we do have 1 or 2 golf carts that I think are going around there. But unfortunately, you got to plan for worst case scenario, right? And so a golf cart just isn't going to get you there in time if it's a true emergency. So.
If you were to look at my truck right now, it's a 4-door truck. The back of that is all equipment. So it's really only a 2-seat.
I think everybody will congratulate you on seeing patrols in the park.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
The other things,
Yeah, go ahead.
For security and then patrol, we were noticing, like, patrol is like over there, and then we see it over here. We're wondering, how many people are on duty during the time, are they supposed to be spread out?
Yes. The number of people that we have out really kind of depends on the day. The bigger focus for us is to have more out and about or on the weekends when more people are here. The goal is that when we do have people out patrolling, that they're not in the same area, that we kind of split the park up, depending on how many people we have out.
Okay.
So if I have two out, two are kind of assigned 1, 2, and 4, 5, 6, and 3. If I have 3 out, it's broken down into 2. So that you shouldn't see 2 or 3 in one area. Does it happen? Yes.
Yeah.
It does. But the goal is that you see more of us in each of the phases by having us stick to our smaller patrol areas.
Very appreciative.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Can I quickly propose more stop signage at the main entrance? Because it seems like with a lot of people that come in, once that gate goes up, it's like stunning.
Yeah, I agree. I've been through, I walked through there and almost, I see a lot of new misses.
One way or another, that gate goes up, the car just goes.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's one sign, but
Yeah.
it's basically.
Right. We can have that as a takeaway and bring that up to the Safety and Security Committee to make a couple of recommendations. That's a great point. Yeah. All right, I have another question here. I have a lot of questions. Site 4168. To whom it may concern, I'd like to voice my concern over the food truck stand parking in the North Shore Ropes Course parking lot. I think we have typically 1 or 2. That food truck moved from here over to the Ropes Course. They recently started parking near the entrance to the Ropes Course beach area. Now they are blocking the entrance with their stand and van. By parking it there, it's causing a potential injury and traffic jam for the parking lot entrance. People and kids are waiting in line and blocking the entrance and won't be long till someone gets hit by a golf cart or vehicle. In addition, it's making it more difficult for parents to get to the beach and causing everyone to walk between their stand and the van. If you go by any time that the food truck is not there, that part is filled with golf carts and a walkway for people using the beach, playground, tennis courts, ropes course. I was talking with a ropes course worker yesterday and they said they don't even like it there. We are diminishing the value of that area to benefit a private business. So a fair point. That food truck was asked to move over there, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago because of the wedding event that we took place here to free up parking for that wedding event. We'll have the conversation. I think he's out there again this morning. I'll have a conversation with him as soon as we leave that we need to have him move back over into this area. Okay, so fair point. Thank you. Site N333. For a few years now, we are still seeing the same sites with long grass, bricks stacked up and rundown units. Do these members just get one violation or are they continuing, and how long can you own a site that looks awful before they get kicked out? Great question. We've sat down and reviewed our bylaws with our park inspector, Jeff Hopkins, and site cleanup. When site cleanup?
Yeah.
So from June 10, if you get a violation, you do get a, fix and repair, and he gives you an X period of time frame to get that done. If it's not done, you get a violation. What I've seen in the past is if it is still nasty looking, we've sent somebody out to go clean it up and charge the member, and then the member either A, doesn't pay, or B, the park gets left holding the bill for that. So the process is you get one violation, fix and repair. If it's not fixed and repair, you get another violation with another. If you get up to 3 violations, you get points assigned to that. Then your membership is up for review to basically be kicked out of the park. So that's the process that Jeff is following. Did meet with him yesterday on some of those issues, as well as a couple other things that are popping up in the park. And he is following that process. So
You don't always know when somebody's been fined,
Right.
you know, so.
The same ones
Every year, but I had a neighbor, I know that they got fines. I would see the inspector there and it always took them all summer. You know, unfortunately, it was very expensive for them, but.
All right, site 1130. Can there be a consideration for bow fishing for carp in the lake? Bless you. I asked the public safety office and they said they weren't sure, but would consider it a no. This does involve the use of archery equipment, so I understand the reservation. This is simply a request to understand if there is an official position on it. So the official position is, it was actually brought up at our lake study committee, our lake committee event. We investigated the bow fishing for carp, and we also investigated having a third party come in and put their boats in the lake and go after the carp. There's one local guy here that has about 10 individuals. We couldn't get that individual in time. So we are looking at that for the beginning of next season. He does have some openings to come in and bring his crew in, which public safety does support. There was a concern with, hey, we're putting non-member boats in the lake. We don't know where they come from. Do they clean them? We have that with our boats today with other people. People pull them out and go to Gun Lake and they go to Lake Michigan and they come back. So that's really not a concern for us. The real concern is we don't want this done on a busy weekend, because if you add 10 extra boats to that lake on a busy weekend, and they're out there trying to get carp, it's just going to be way too congested. So this individual only has weekends open left for the season. We want it on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So this will probably get pushed to next March or April, and we will start addressing the carp.
So what is Sandy Pines' official stance on somebody coming out here bow fishing?
Right now, bow fishing, we would not support that right now.
Okay, so under the state of Michigan, bow fishing is regular fishing.
Mhm.
It's not considered a weapon, anything like that.
Understand?
You're gonna let people from outside the park come in here and do that. No, I'm a professional bow fisherman.
Mhm.
I fish tournaments over at state of Michigan.
Mhm.
Why would you let other people come in and not?
Well, it's, again, my understanding when I've talked to an individual about coming in and addressing the carp, he's not bow fishing. That's my understanding, is he's not bow fishing. So, and agree, this is a state regulated lake, but because we're a private entity, you have the state regulations, and then as long as we meet the state regulations or go below those state regulations, we're okay. So we choose not to do bow fishing right now. If we were to say the state doesn't allow it and we allow it, we now have gone above the state requirement, that's where we get in trouble.
Fishing.
The sheriff has control is here. We should have a talk with him, because I talked with him. Even though we're part of an association and all that, once we are in the water, we are legal to fish per the state of Michigan.
Okay.
So that's from the police officer.
Okay, so yeah, we can have that conversation with them. Because per the state of Michigan, you can also have alcohol out on that lake, and we choose not
That's
to.
what he said.
And we choose,
We're out here, we can.
yeah,
we can follow Michigan state rules.
well, yeah, we'll get that clarified because, yeah, we're no alcohol.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you for that. Let's see. Site number 4021. I would prefer to ask this in person, but unfortunately I have a family commitment. I would like to know the status of a request for, to modify the park entry procedures. Clarify that the member is responsible for the conduct of members, associates, and any guests brought in by any members or associate members, regardless of whether or not the member knew the guests were brought in by an associate or not. Require a member or an associate member to always be present in the park when a guest is staying within the park. Right now, the requirements are a member has to be present. Is there any leniency to that? I think this will strengthen the park procedure and explicitly remind the member that they have absolute responsibility for the conduct of their associate members, grandchildren, or any guest associated with that membership. Thank you. Kelly, you want to respond to that? Because I think the rules committee is looking at some of those procedures.
Well, we were looking at, the rules committee was looking at language to add for significant others because of the way that the environment is today. This was a discussion 2 years ago. And more, it sounds just like the same gentleman that brought it to our attention a couple of years ago. And the rules committee thought that opening it up, how can I say it? Opening it up to allow us to sign in numerous guests and we would still be responsible. It was too much for the rules committee. They just said, we like the control that we have now and the responsibility for the member to be here. And so they voted unanimously not to forward it to the board for consideration. They didn't think it was a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Site number 562. What do members vote on? Did members vote on the bridge or the North Shore building? Question mark. So the resolutions are out there. They're posted on the website. There's 5 of them that we already talked about, 2 bylaws. You got the pool, you got the South Shore building, you got Spectrum Internet, cable TV, internet and TV. The members did not vote on the bridge as a separate project. The members did vote on the bridge as part of the capital reserve fund. It is in the capital reserve fund. It was on the list and it was there, it was approved. That's why we did it. North Shore, prior to my time, my understanding is there was an emergent need for this building due to safety, and that's how that building came up. We're trying to change that thought process based on what we're doing on the South Shore. So the South Shore building is similar to this. Members have an opinion on that. If you vote, we're going to do it. If not, we're not going to do it. Okay.
Trying to listen better.
Yes. 1409, can we please consider further tweaking the pool capacity rules to allow new guests in during the hour, even if capacity is reached with when a group exits? It would be great if they can subtract guests as they leave to maximize the use of the pool while sticking within the increased number limits for the season. What will the capacity number be for the proposed new phase 2 pool? Also, will we be able to get enough lifeguards to fully staff all the pools, considering it sounds like it is currently a shortage? When drawings are shared for the proposed phase 2 pool and new South Shore building, will it include plans for whether other amenities will move? For example, I'd like to understand where the top center, playgrounds, gaga ball pits, things of that nature, will they stay or will they go? Will the dairy dip move into the South Shore building when that building pops in? So I think the latter part of that we've already addressed. Let's talk about pool capacity. A couple of things. So Kathy Strebel and I, Kathy leads our rec department. We sit down and we review this regularly. There is a lifeguard shortage. I think we just now got to the level of having enough lifeguards at the pool. The pool monitors that are there, so we have different tiers in the rec department. We have kind of beginner entry level areas. Then you have lifeguards that go through training and they have to be older. And then you have ropes course individuals that go through training and they have to be older. The kids that we're putting at those pool monitor areas to put a check in the box to calculate how many are coming in and coming out, they're 15 years old, right? We're not going to put them in a position to try and figure out, all right, are you leaving? Are you leaving to go to the bathroom? Are you coming back? Did I subtract you? Did I not subtract you? And then all of a sudden you let somebody in and then you've got somebody standing in line. Well, you let them in. So why aren't you letting me in? We're not going to put 15-year-olds in that spot. They're going to count the people coming in. And if it reaches capacity, they shut it down. And then they'll rotate every hour. That's the pool capacity that we're going to stick with, or operation we're going to stick with. That it is what it is. If there's overcapacity at the pools, we got a beautiful lake people can swim in. They can go swim in the lake. The new pool capacity we have not determined yet. However, When you look at that pool, it is a zero entrance pool, meaning there's no step, jump in, you walk into that pool, and then when you get to the deep end, which will only be 5 feet, then there's a slight step down into that deep end. But the thought process on this is because it's zero entrance and it's 5 feet deep, because of the lifeguard shortages, we want to run it like a hotel. No lifeguards on duty, swim at your own risk. If you're under 18, you have to be accompanied by a parent. That's the thought process for that pool right now. It has not been officially determined yet, but that's the thought process of that pool. Larry, you had a question? Oh, okay. You're just waving?
So,
Okay, yes,
before we end, could we introduce Bob?
yes. Yes,
I
Diane.
just wanted to say too about the new pool. I think having another pool will help with the capacity problems that we're having. In the present pool that we have at the rec center over here is approximately 30 by 90 feet. That's the total size of it approximately. Our new pool is going to be 60 by 100. So it's going to be twice as wide and 10 feet longer. So it's going to accommodate a lot more people than the pool that we have presently at the rec center.
Right.
Great point.
And
Yeah.
thank you,
That's a
Diane,
good
for being the
comparison.
chair of the pool committee. We really appreciate it.
Chair of our pool, right there. Yes, ma'am.
What do you think of the adults that are coming in? Like, when I go to the water park and I need clothes, but they're telling me as capacity.
Yep.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be nicer and it would allow more children to come in? I know it probably be kind of tricky, but.
The capacity that we have established there is total capacity of that area. So if, let's say you have an incident and you fall in the pool and a lifeguard has to react, it's a total capacity in that area. So, good question. D61, first, ballot proposal 052022A indicates its purpose is to clarify when board approval is or is not needed for spending funds on a single construction project. What is this clarification? What are the intended specifics? Is that ratio being changed or eliminated? That current wording clarifies the board shall not spend more than 2.5% without majority member approval. If this ratio is changed, it should be clarified to let members know what they are voting on. The current Article 4, Section 2 is already very specific. So I think we already addressed that. The percentage, excuse me, is not changing, and we kind of highlighted the difference of the old one versus the new one. Second ballot proposal 052022E, it appears the ballot proposal is linked to proposal 0255A. However, in this proposal, it is stated members are voting on a proposal to transfer funds in excess of 2.5% to build a pool in phase 2. The resolution indicates the project is approved, but costs are over the approved amount. First, was the cost for the pool approved by the membership? The answer is yes. It's on the capital reserve original fund. We already talked about that. Started at 100,000, moved to 500,000. The bill is now between 1 and 1.7 million based on estimates from engineering.
And one thing we opted, we brought out a pool committee and we opted to ask to transfer money to build a nicer pool as opposed to building what we could afford, which would result in another phase 3 size pool.
What is the cost? I just highlighted the cost. The members should be made aware of what the original cost was and how much more is needed. The members must know the cost of capital projects if they're being asked to vote on. I think we provided that. So I think those questions are answered. Good question. Thank you. And 464, has there ever been talk of adding a jumping pillow to Sandy Pines? I recently asked on our Facebook member page and for quite a few positive responses, had quite a few positive responses. Not sure how items are decided upon as far as what gets added to our park, but I would love to see this under consideration. Kathy Scribble, again at REC, she actually brought this to us. It's something that we're evaluating. Kathy's new, she had her hands full with, and she's doing a great job this year with the rec department and all the activities. We have it on the list. We're going to try and do something for next season.
Yeah, we have to figure out where to put it and, guidelines and things. Right here, yeah, no, not on the beach. It's something that would have to be monitored. I've seen them, you know, like at a farm, you know, a cider mill place. And they do limit, you know, one side is little kids, one side is big kids. You know, we'd have to figure out where we have the land for it. But we actually talked about that even last year. But the comment I'm going to make, that question, they said on our Facebook page. It was not on our Facebook page. It was on a private Facebook group. Those conversations, again, they brought it to Jeff, which is great. They emailed it in. But when you have a conversation on a private Facebook group, even though it says Sandy Piners or SP, that's not official social media. And we don't always, as a staff and a board, see that. It needs to be, the conversation needs to take place on the official Sandy Pines Facebook page.
I think the important thing is the conversation between peoples.
I mean, it is, but you know, we don't always see those things. I'm not on one of the groups. And that's where that conversation took place. So you're having it on this Facebook group. Not everybody sees it. Staff is not allowed on that Facebook page. How would they see it?
So the official Facebook page is Sandy Pines Recreational Community.
Yes, and if something starts on one, they can move it over to another. You know, they can move it over to the official.
Right. And typically how Ian has done a great job from a communication standpoint as well, teaming up with the Sandy Pines informed membership, right? So, informed community, excuse me. The official one is exactly what Diane read and what Ellen is talking about. The Sandy Pines recreational community, that's the official one. That's Ian's. That's where we have all the official communication. As soon as something, you know, important topics, proposals, things of that nature, Ian reaches out, calls Brian, who handles that, and tag it, link it, I don't know, Facegram it, Insto chat, whatever they do, and then boom, they go together. But it starts with that official one from Sandy Pines, and then it can move to some of the other ones. So, all right, I have two more, and then we can wrap up here. K55, wondering if we can get a sign that says maintenance only, put in by where the beach raker comes in off Fox Circle. Because the beach raker leaves tracks, now everyone thinks it's a golf cart path instead of green space. We kindly let people know when they drive back there that it is green space, and we regularly get sworn at. Number one, that's unacceptable, so be respectful to your members when they're trying to help you out. We just want to sit and enjoy our backyard in peace without traffic. So I will bring that up to maintenance. Maintenance, if you've seen, they've done a good job of popping up a lot of those new signs. The new signs are really, really cool. So I'll bring it up to maintenance, see if we can get that one done. Last one, same site, K55. And it's the same exact one. So we're done. All right. So, any last comments? Yes, ma'am.
I sent an email. I hope you got it. It's from Kay Atkins, 5443 about a rule change.
Okay, which one was that?
My husband passed away last year. So reading the rules, I was supposed to see that you could have another member. So you could have two members per site. So my nephew just moved here from Wisconsin and I wanted him to be the member. And everything was fine and dandy until they found out he was married.
Yep.
And then that wasn't.
Hence, that's why we're working, the rules committee is working on language.
For a
looking at that.
significant other.
For a significant other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, because I have no children, I feel penalized because if it were my sister and she had 4 kids, she could have a whole bunch of associate members, like 4 kids and their spouses and everything. And then a couple years ago, they gave us 1, so I have my sister as my associate member. But to me, that isn't fair. You know, somebody can have 12, and because I have no children, I can only have 1.
Right. So I think did we not get your response on that? Because I thought we did respond on that.
I just mailed it this week.
Yeah, I actually forwarded it to Jeff. You sent it to the board.
I sent it to the.
Well, it may not, but I asked him to respond. So can you have a conversation with him
Yeah,
directly
absolutely.
and they'll talk about it?
I think we sent a response to that, but back to Kelly's point, right now, the rules state joint membership, two individuals that, you know, aren't married. So you can have brother, sister, or a married couple. If you're a married couple and then a single individual, you can't have that. From what I understand historically, the reason that is it's the family tree, right? So
But you know,
understand your point.
because I have no children, I have some nephews that are just as precious to me as any
Exactly.
child.
I completely understand. And
Yeah.
I think the workaround for that in the rules was, you can designate an associate,
Yeah,
right?
just one.
Yep, and just one. So back to Kelly's point, we're trying to unpack that and come up with a different solution.
Now, another situation, if my nephew wasn't married, he could be the second member, right?
Correct.
Now, could he then have people that would be associate members under your guidelines, like his children?
His children.
His children, yes.
So why is that? You know, why is that fair? Just
Just
because he
needs to
has a
get
wife?
divorced, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Right, you know, and
It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense.
I
We're
don't
trying.
agree with you. Those are kind of the rules that we have to operate on. And as these things pop up, they get brought to the rules committee and that committee tries to unpack all that and come up with a different solution. So
Yeah.
we're working through.
We'll you know, reach out to Jeff again, or he'll reach out to you. I sent I'm not sure if the email went to him originally, but I sent it to him and asked that he reach out to you. We did get it.
I thought because I'm not real technical.
Well, and sometimes they go to spam. He may have responded and it went to spam, but we'll continue to work with you to try to figure some things out.
Now, I'm 83 years old.
Mhm, you need help. You need help,
And
yeah.
as I said in the email, you know, I don't want to have to pay for him to come, you know,
Every
every
time,
time he
yeah.
wants to help.
Yeah, well, we'll continue to communicate with you and we'll try to
What's your
see what
cell
we
number?
can figure.
5443.
Okay. All right, got it down. All
Thank
right,
you.
you're welcome. Yes, Roger.
I noticed on the weekend flyer, there was a mistake. And it said fishing with Roger at the dam on 7/11. That's actually August 11th.
August.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Roger.
and thank you for doing the fishing.
August 11th. But, I'm too poop to do it.
Yeah. There you go. And thank you for doing that, Roger.
Here.
You're one of our very important members.
He loves doing it and we really appreciate the help
Yeah.
when people come help.
Yeah.
The kids enjoy it.
Absolutely. The kids love it. You're doing a great job. Thank you. All right, last one. Yes, sir.
I got three quick things.
Okay.
We talked a lot about the capital projects list.
Yeah.
Where's that available for review?
That's available for review if you want to come in and have a conversation with our CFO.
Second, we've talked a lot about clarification points. We consider putting together a facts list and making that posted somewhere on those clarification points
For
on the resolutions.
on the resolution?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to better communicate and get it out there.
Okay.
And then thirdly, quickly, one of the emails talked about the dollars of the pool and the resolution wording, if I remember correctly, talks about the members approving to borrow the funds, which are in excess of 2.5%. But I think what that question was getting to is, and you talked about the cost of the pool, but how much are those funds? What's the cost of that excess 2.5% funds? How much additional are we moving from operations to capital for?
So you can look at that two different ways, right? So in the capital fund, it's $500,000 allocated to that pool. Right now, the costs are anywhere from $1 million to $1.7 million based on engineering estimates. So again, the math is 2.5% of $7 million of an operating budget. So it's $175 that we technically could move. So
$175.
Without approval.
without approval.
With
Right,
board approval,
Right.
with board approval, not member.
above and beyond that is, 176,000 to, what, 1.1 5 million, 1.2 million. So that's what would move out of, that's what would move out of the operating budget.
So I think that's where we're going. If I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Get the capital list. I don't know that dollar value. And then I see a resolution to move funds in excess of 2.5. There's no dollar values that I can tie to anything.
Okay.
Right.
No, fair point. We can start communicating that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna end it here in last comment. So, you'll see in the footprints in July, there's, two things. One, board of directors. So we have 3 open positions. Ellen Carpenter, and Paul Peppel, they reran. Their nominations were submitted and accepted and approved last night at the board meeting. Bob Deckinga sitting in the back with the
H.
Hudsonville Eagles hat. Bob is going to be new to the board, so thank you, Bob, for stepping up and being a member of our board. And there will be no meet the candidates. I know Bob was devastated about that, but we won't have a specific meet the candidates because we have 3 positions that are open and we have 3 candidates. There will be bios in the upcoming footprints that you can read. And then they will be, even though we have only 3 positions and 3 members, you will see their names on the ballots when we officially release the ballots. So again, don't forget to go out and vote.
What do I do with all the candy I bought for the parade?
Give it to me. July 4th.
July 4th.
Just throw it anyway.
People don't have to vote.
Right.
So you better.
The last thing that you'll see in the footprints, the board voted on last night. If you're a voter, if you remember, we had a temporary ban on using the ballot functions, filling them, alterating them. So you can basically make big wakes out there to do wake surfing, things of that nature. I'm not a voter. In the footprints in June, I stated the Lake Committee was bringing a resolution to the board that will be voted on by the board of banning wake surfing and wakeboarding. I was incorrect. It's only wake surfing. They're 2 different functions. Again, I'm a non-voter, so I got those mixed up, so I apologize. That resolution did get voted on last night, and you can read about it. It will be in the footprints in July, that the ballast function, you cannot fill it or alter it on the lake, and wake surfing is not permitted on the lake. Those would be 2 new items permanent in the rules, and the board voted on that 8-1 last night. It will go effect in July. Our bylaws state once proper notification comes to the membership, that will get posted out by member service, and it will be posted in the footprints. So as soon as the actual hard copies of the footprints come out, that will be effective. We're thinking probably mid-July. So, okay. All right. I appreciate everybody being here on a beautiful Saturday. Thank you for all the questions. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you.